Welcome back to Transcriber from Reddit. Today I will be covering the update for Carl Boeder, ex-Michigan Lutheran Seminary teacher, and his trial. Covered here at mlive.com. We read the article title, Ex-Michigan Lutheran Seminary teacher sent to prison for grooming sexually assaulting student. Updated May 8th, 2026. From Saginaw, Michigan. A former teacher at Michigan Lutheran Seminary is heading to prison for sexually assaulting a student. Addressing the sentencing judge, the ex-teacher's teenage victim said she is racked with guilt over her abuser's fate and hopes to one day speak with him again. Her mother, in contrast, was not as open to giving the assailant a second chance. Side note, both reactions are completely understandable, and I wish nothing but the best therapy for both of them, so that the victim understands she did nothing wrong, she is not at fault, and she does not have to have contact with her abuser ever again. And the mother to help her daughter. Continuing on, quote, Carl Boeder used his roles as teacher and trusted church leader at his private Lutheran school to groom my daughter, end quote, she said. Quote, he manipulated her through his role as educator, posed as a friend to our family, undermined his school, and betrayed his calling, end quote. Here, we see an image of Carl Boeder looking down at the table. And the caption for the image reads, former Michigan Lutheran Seminary teacher and pastor's son, Carl J. Boeder, appears for sentencing in Saginaw County Circuit Court on May 7, 2026. In the blue suit is defense attorney John E. Melton. Credit, Cole Waterman. Continuing on. Wearing glasses, shackles, and a mustache, 31-year-old Carl J. Boeder on Thursday, May 7th, appeared before Saginaw County Circuit Judge Darnell Jackson for sentencing. Boeder in March pleaded guilty as charged to all 9 counts he faced. First point, third-degree criminal sexual conduct with a student, 1 count. Second point, fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct with a student, 2 counts. Third point, child sexually abusive activity, 1 count. Fourth point, possessing child sexually abusive material, 1 count. Fifth point, using a computer to commit a crime, 3 counts. And sixth and final point, distributing sexually explicit material to a child, 1 count. Third degree CSC involves penetration and is punishable by up to 15 years in prison, while fourth degree is limited to touching and is a 2-year high court misdemeanor. Defense attorney John E. Melton asked the judge to consider his client's acceptance of responsibility in fashioning a sentence. Quote, Carl, from the very beginning of this, from the very first interview with police, has always taken responsibility and has never denied this, unquote, Melton said. Quote, he's never tried to blame the victim. He made a mistake here and he's owning up to it. He's taken responsibility like a man, like a grown man, end quote. Given the chance to speak, Boeder gave a nearly 2-minute-long monologue on how sorry he is for betraying his roles as a teacher, husband, father, and Christian. Quote, I disgraced my marriage. I mocked my God, end quote, he said. Quote, I brought grief and trauma into the lives of many people who don't deserve this. I brought shame into the lives of innocent people. I hate what I've done, end quote. He said he has prayed for his victim and her family and is, quote, thankful that this has brought me closer to my God, end quote. Jackson said he received several character letters, both on Boeder's and his victim's behalf. Quote, you're right, end quote, he told Boeder. Quote, your actions did affect a great number of people in this particular situation, end quote. Again, passing over similar image of the defendant of Carl Boeder here. This time, he's looking at the floor. Continuing on. Boeder's victim then addressed the court, describing how their, quote, relationship, end quote, began around June 2025, with Boeder comforting her after the unexpected death of one of her friends. At the time, Boeder taught band, choir, and German at MLS. 2777 Hardin Street in Saginaw. Quote, he would always listen to me when I needed someone to talk to, end quote, she said. Quote, he was always there, end quote. They began exchanging photos on Snapchat, and their association turned sexual. The victim, though, asserted she does not want Boeder to face a harsh penalty, saying she feels guilty for his predicament. Quote, I wanted to protect him as much as possible, end quote, she said. Quote, I felt so guilty for not protecting him, end quote. Side note, again, my sympathy and empathy goes to the victim here. I understand why she feels that way, because she was groomed by Boeder. And it's not her fault. And I hope everyone gives her the space and time that she needs and friendship to rely on as she processes this. And I also hope she gets the therapy she needs to realize it's not her fault. She was groomed. She was taken advantage of. Continuing on, she hopes to talk to Boeder again, and that possibility is what keeps her going, she said. Here we see an image of Michigan Lutheran Seminary, 2777 Hardin Street in Saginaw. Credit to Katie Boomer. Continuing on, quote, I hate not having that person to talk to, but I also hate that he can't talk to me, end quote, she said. Quote, even though Carl had done me wrong, I wish he could have a shorter sentence. I spend every single day worrying about him. I think he's truly a good person. He deserves to be with his family, end quote. The teen's mother was not mollified by Boeder's professed remorse. Quote, he is a grown man who knew his actions were not acceptable and sought out a child, end quote, she said. Quote, Carl Boeder would have you believe he has taken accountability for his despicable crimes against my daughter. I believe what Carl Boeder has shown me is that he's responsible for grooming and manipulating my daughter, end quote. Side note, I would completely believe her and agree with that. Reading through what he was quoted as saying, that is not an apology. He is not actually sorry for anything he did. He is sorry for being caught. Continuing on, Boeder isolated the teen under the guise of counseling her for the grief she was suffering over the loss of a lifelong friend, the mother said. He usurped the parental role and eroded her daughter's sense of self, she said. Judge Jackson said the victim and her mother's diverging perspectives highlights the case's difficulty. Quote, one thing we all agree on are the facts, unquote, he told the mother. Quote, hopefully you can all move on past this, end quote. Jackson sentenced Boeder to 5 to 20 years in prison, with credit for 143 days already served. He also ordered Boeder to register as a sex offender, something he has already done. Boeder graduated from Martin Luther College in New Ulm, Minnesota. The College of Ministry for Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod in May 2022 presented him for service to the church. He thereafter worked at MLS and quickly gained a reputation as an affable and approachable educator, according to some of his former students who spoke with MLive. Starting in June and continuing through August 5th, 2025, Boeder and the teen exchanged nude photos of each other on a nearly daily basis, prosecutors alleged. This came to light after the teen's father saw the messages they'd been exchanging. The teen's father notified police. Shortly afterward, Boeder contacted the teen to tell her they, quote, needed to take a break, unquote, prosecutors alleged. Police interviewed Boeder, who confessed to having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl, prosecutors alleged. The age of consent for sexual activity in Michigan is 16. However, the age is increased to 18 if the older participant is a, quote, a teacher, substitute teacher, administrator, employee, or contractual service provider, unquote, of the school or district the younger participant attends. Side note, that age needs to be raised to 21 in my less than humble opinion. 18 is still far too young. I do agree with this law, though, and I think that this law needs to be in states everywhere. Continuing on, Boeder resigned from MLS on August 5th. Shortly thereafter, he packed up his family, listed his home on Court Street for sale, and moved to La Crosse, Wisconsin, prosecutors said. Boeder had purchased the Court Street house for $135,000 in July 2022, according to Saginaw Area GIS Authority. Side note, that sounds like he made himself a flight risk. Continuing on, MLS administrators in early August sent an email to students' parents, informing them Boeder had resigned his, quote, position as a professor, end quote. The email also related Boeder was the subject of a police investigation. Quote, Michigan Lutheran Seminary is fully cooperating with the authorities, and we have no reason to believe that any illegal activity occurred on our campus, end quote, the missive read. Side note, it doesn't sound like they included the contact information for the authorities, for any parents or students who had concerns about Boeder to reach out to. Continuing on, MLS President, the Reverend Mark Lutzow, in a prior written statement to MLive, stated administrators learned of Boeder's alleged misconduct late in the summer of 2025 before the school year began. They immediately terminated his employment and fully cooperated with police, Lutzow said. Quote, the safety and well-being of our students is always our top priority, and any type of inappropriate interaction between a teacher and student, whether on campus or off campus, will not be tolerated, end quote, Lutzow said. Here ends the article. Let's dive deeper into Boeder's statement. He says, I disgraced my marriage. You cheated on your wife, which is grounds for a biblical divorce. And I hope she divorces you. No one should have to live their life married to a predator of children. He also says, I brought grief and trauma into the lives of many people who don't deserve this. Name them, Boeder. He also says, I brought shame into the lives of innocent people. Again, name them, Boeder. By not naming them, by not naming people, specifically by name, he is allowing himself room to avoid facing accountability. Then, the final cherry on the top, so to speak, in this whole non-apology, where he says he has prayed for his victim and her family. He is showing he does not see the harm he has caused. He does not truly understand the impact, the damage he has caused. This is also a form of religious gaslighting. Saying, I'm gonna pray for you when you have knowingly, and in Boeder's case, have been convicted of actual damage done, damage recognized by law. And he sees it all as ultimately having benefited his relationship with God, which, again, the focus is still on him and him avoiding actual accountability. For more information on this, I have linked to multiple videos down in the description below. Thanks to Wells Lutheran Cult Recovery, which I have a link in the description below, they provided the link to monitor Mr. Boeder. And speaking of the sex offender registry page, here it is, complete with his mugshot. It's got his status, incarceration date, and at the bottom, there's multiple tabs that you can select to see current addresses, aliases, offenses, any known scars, marks, tattoos, and vehicles. Just look at the list of offenses. I'm thankful that they had the evidence needed to convict him, get him in prison, and make him register as a sex offender. That is all for this video. Thank you for watching/listening, and I will see you in the next one.